I like this one better. All right. It's going to be a short class today because I spent the day researching right around these class. I didn't have much time to look into today's class, but we can leave we can leave time open for questions, although it's going to be short today. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Khade Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Khade Gopi Janabalaba Giri Bhadate Gopi Janabalaba Giri Bhadate Yasodanandana Brajajanuranjana Yasodanandana Brajajanuranjana Jamuna Tira Banachate Yamuna Tera Manachate Jayarandhu Madhuva Kundabi Hagte Jayarandhu Madhuva Kundabi Hagte Gopi Janabalaba Giri Bharadhari Gopi Janabalaba Giri Bharadhari Yasodanandana Brajajanuranjana Yasodanandana Brajajanuranjana Jamuna Tira Manachare Yamuna Tera Manachare Jairanu Madhava Kunjabi Hate Jayaradhu Madhova Kunjabi Hate Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Paravacharya also Teta Satashi Shimad, His Divine Grace Abhaya Chananada Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Hridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktavinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radhakrishna Gopi Gopinath Sayamakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavanam Ki Jai. Maturadam Ki Jai. Jagannathaswami Ki Jai. Yamunamai Ki Jai. Shmati Tulasi Devi Ki Jai. Samafeda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Om. All glories the assembled devotees. All glories the assembled devotees. All glories the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharni Nivashesha Shunyavadi Paschachate Shatarni. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 54th chapter, text 33. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Shri Rukminyuvacha Yogeshvara Prameyatman Deva Deva Jagatpate Hantum Narhase Kalyana Vrataram Me Mahabhuja Shri Rukminyuvacha Yogeshvara Prameyatman Deva Deva Jagatpate Hantum Narhasi Kalyana Ratarame Mahabhuja Shri Rukminyuvacha Yogeshvara Prameyatman Deva Deva Jagatpate Hantum Narhasi Kalyana Ratarame Mahabhuja Shri Rukminyuvacha Yogeshvara Prameyatman Deva Deva Jagatpate Hantum Narhasi Kalyana Ratarame Mahabhuja. Okay. Okay. Shri Rukmini Uvacha. Shri Rukmini said, Yoga Ishvara, O controller of all mystic power. Aprameya Atman, O immeasurable one. Deva Deva, O Lord of Lords. Jagatpate, O Master of the universe. Hantumna Arhasi, please do not kill. Kalyana, O all auspicious one. Rataram, brother. May, my. Mahabhuja, O mighty armed one. So translation. Shri Rukmini said, O controller of all mystic power, O immeasurable one, Lord of lords, master of the universe, all auspicious and mighty armed one, please do not kill my brother. So you can repeat. Shri Rukmini said, O controller of all mystic power, immeasurable one, Lord of lords, master of the universe, all auspicious and mighty armed one, please do not kill my brother. So, there's no commentary by the followers of His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, and so I'm going to read some of the commentaries by the Acharyas. First of all, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. O Master of Yoga, you are the holder of great inconceivable power, while Rukmi is the lowest among the controlled. You are the immeasurable one, Aprame Yotma, and he is like an insect among the limited. You are supreme among the Devatas, Deva, and he is the lowest among humans because he is inimical to you. You are the protector of the universe, Jagatpate, and though he is evil, because he is within the universe, he is to be protected. Therefore, O auspicious one, Kalyana, with mighty arms, Mahabhuja, you should not kill that inauspicious person with no power in his arms. But Jiva Goswami's commentaries is exactly the same, so Sanatana Goswami's is a little different. O Krishna with inconceivable powers, Yogeshvara with unlimited form of Prameyatma, worshipped even by the Brahmanas, Deva, this indicates that he is the Supreme Lord because he is worshipped for his Swarup of all powers. Moreover, he is the great destroyer of the world, Mahabhuja. Therefore, you should not kill this insignificant person. Moreover, you are the protector of the universe, but this evil person should be killed. Should be killed, not killed. O knower of Dharma, one should not kill relatives. You know Dharma of the devotees. He is my brother. You should not kill him because you are auspicious for the universe, Kalyana. Or the first two names indicate that he cannot be understood in his powerful form. Even Devatas cannot know him. You were worshipped by austerities, O Deva. You should forgive all offenses committed, since you cannot be understood. Moreover, you should not kill this insignificant weak fellow, since you are so strong. Mahabhuja. So, again, Shri Rukmini Uvacha Yogeshvara Prameyatman Deva Jagatpate Hantum Narhasi Kalyana Rataram Me Mahabhuja. So, Omagana Timiranda Shah Gananjana Shlakaya Chakshur Meditam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha. So I have a few things to say about this. First of all, this is the standard way when one is making a request of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You find this in the prayers of Lord Brahma, the prayers of the demigods, that when you're making a request, first of all, you glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But the glorification here is quite interesting because this glorification indicates a sort of like a switch in Rukmini's mood from the previous few verses. Because in the previous few verses, Rukmini is seeing Krishna as what? Her husband. It's a more intimate mood. And in this particular mood, we find the prayers are in Aishvarya, which contrasts with Madhurya. So, of course, Aishvarya means opulence. And incidentally, the prayers, or the words used for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, are all secondary names of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As we know, according to Haridas Thakur, in Harinam Chintamani, that is actually Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that the Lord has secondary and primary names. The secondary names refer to Krishna's position, and the primary names refer to him in his intimate aspect. For example, a primary name would be Yashodanandana, or, for example, Rukmini addresses him as, my husband, Nandanandana, Yashodanandana, Krishna, Govinda. These are all primary names of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Whereas here, we see Rukmini addressing Krishna in his secondary names. This is quite interesting. It's quite a contrast from before, and it's even quite a contrast from even more of a contrast with the residents of Vrindavan. And we see when the residents of Vrindavan see Krishna doing something amazing, they don't think he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. At most, they think he's empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And even when Krishna was lifting Govardhan Hill, the residents of Vrindavan started to get nervous that Krishna was going to drop Govardhan Hill. And some of the coward boys actually put their staffs up to try to hold Govardhan Hill up so that Krishna could rest, or Krishna could change his hands or something like that, because he was straining himself. And so even in the extreme cases where Krishna somehow manifests he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then Krishna immediately switches that mood back to the Madhurya mood, such as when Krishna was eating the dirt, or at least Balaram said that he had eaten dirt. And Yashodamai looks in Krishna's mouth, and she sees all the universes, and she becomes overwhelmed with a sense of awe and reverence in Krishna. Krishna doesn't like that. Krishna likes more the intimate relationships. So as far as the names that Krishna is being called here, reference to Krishna, one name that I found quite interesting, actually they're all interesting, but one name starts out Yogeshvara. So Yogeshvara means the person who controls, actually you could understand in a different way, the person who controls yoga, or the person who has all the yogic powers. So in order to understand this fully, as far as Krishna is controlling all the yogic powers, I wanted to read some of the verses from the 11th canto, 15th chapter, text 3 of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which describe how you can get mystic powers. So those of you who are interested in mystic powers, of course, it's interesting, sometimes Prabhupada, when you use the word mystic or mystical, Prabhupada didn't like that word so much. But in this particular case, the word is completely applicable. So this is beginning from the 3rd verse of the 15th chapter. And it's interesting, these different cities. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, the masters of the yoga system have declared that there are 18 types of mystic perfection and meditation, of which 8 are primary. This is Krishna speaking, of course. Having their shelter in me. So there's 8 having their shelter in Krishna, and 10 are secondary because they appear from the material mode of goodness. So here's the 8 primary mystic perfections that come from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Among the 8 primary mystic perfections, the 3 by which one transforms one's own body are anima, becoming smaller than the smallest. Okay. Can you think of when Krishna became anima? What? When he entered the womb of Uttara, when he enters as the super soul in everyone's heart, he enters into every atom. So you see, not only does Krishna grant these powers, but he actually has these powers, manifests these powers. Of course, Krishna can do much more than these powers. He is unlimited. So, smaller than the smallest, Mahima, becoming greater than the greatest. When did Krishna become greater than the greatest? Universal form. Another example. Yeah, go right on. But even bigger than that. Vamana. When Lord Vamana expanded himself and he kicked a hole in the universe. And Matsya. Oh yeah, Matsya was really small in the beginning. Actually, it's interesting. Matsya showed the Anima and Mahima. He's very small, and King Satyavrata was doing his prayers in the lake, at the river, sorry. And as he was doing his prayers, he was offering water back to the river, and he looked at his palms. And who was there? A little fish. And he said, fish, throw him back in. And the fish said, no, there's big aquatics who are going to eat me. Got to save me. So they put him basically in a fishbowl after that point. Then he became bigger. They had to put him into a bigger body of water. Then finally, I guess there was a well, there was a lake, and then finally the ocean. So there's another example of Mahima, greater than the greatest. Can anyone think of when a living entity became greater than the greatest, or made himself bigger? Hanuman, when he carried back the Mrityu Sanjeevani, the hill. So, and then finally, these are the 3 by which one transforms the body. Laghima, which means lighter than the lightest. So when did a devotee become lighter than the lightest? Again, Hanuman. And super soul. Lighter than the lightest. And then the other mystic powers, through the perfection of prapti, one acquires whatever one desires. It's a prapti siddhi. In other words, you can reach out and make a withdrawal from the bank without taking any money out of your bank account. That's prapti siddhi. I can't think of an example when someone did that. Can anyone think of an example from the Shastras? What? From the Shastras. Yeah. From the Shastras. Yeah, he'd opt to come and get anything he wants without even using these powers. So anyway, one acquires whatever one desires, and through prakamya siddhi, one experiences any enjoyable object, either in this world or in the next. Through ishita siddhi, one can manipulate the sub-potencies of Maya. Of course, the demigods do that too. And through the controlling potency called vashita siddhi, one is unimpeded by the 3 modes of nature. One who has acquired Hama Vasaita siddhi can obtain anything from anywhere to the highest possible limit. My dear gentle Uddhava, these 8 mystic perfections are considered to be naturally existing and unexcelled in this world. So, okay. So I'm not going to read about the secondary perfections because they come from the modes of material nature. But I'm going to read about how to acquire these perfections if you're interested. And they all involve Krishna consciousness. So, what? Yeah, they all involve some connection with meditating on Krishna. So, the 10th verse, one who worships me, that's Krishna again, in my atomic form pervading all subtle elements, fixing his mind on that alone, he obtains the mystic perfection called anima. So if you actually want to become proficient in this anima city, then you meditate on Krishna, or worship Krishna in his very small form in the atom. Okay. The second one is, this is the 11th text, one who absorbs his mind in the particular form of the Mahatattva and thus meditates upon me, that's again Krishna, as the supreme soul of total material existence, achieves the mystic perfection called Mahima. By further absorbing his mind in the situation of each individual element, such as the sky, air, fire, and so on, one progressively acquires the greatness of each material element. So it all involves meditating on Krishna, having seen Krishna the source of everything. And text 12, I exist within everything, and I am therefore the essence of the atomic constituents of material elements. By attaching his mind to me in this form, the yogi may achieve the perfection called lagima, make himself very light, by which he realizes the subtle atomic substance of time. So this is Krishna as Yogeshwara. So 13th text, fixing his mind completely in me within the element of false ego generated from the mode of goodness, the yogi obtains the power of mystic acquisition, that's property, of course, by which he becomes the proprietor of the senses of all living entities. He obtains such perfection because his mind is absorbed in me. Prabhupada sometimes say that the pure devotee naturally has all mystic perfections, although generally the pure devotee doesn't exhibit these mystic perfections. But I was actually thinking about Prabhupada's perfection of being able to have a clear mind and translate his literatures even up to the point of leaving this body. Because generally, as people get old, as people have different health problems, the mind is not as efficient or not as clear as it used to be. And I just heard about one of my godbrothers, not going to mention his name. He has it's some issue with the frontal lobe. And because of that, there's a whole change in his mood, there's a change in his compassion, there's a change in his ability to deal with the material energy, and he has to have caretakers taking care of him. What? It's something with the frontal lobe. I'm not going to get into too many details. It's not that he got hit, but it's a type of senior moment. And so then we see with Prabhupada, I've been reading recently about Prabhupada's pastimes, specifically in Australia, and then Prabhupada, even during the final days, even before, let's say, he was bedridden, he was going on his morning walk and leaving the other devotees behind him. He was walking so fast. So Prabhupada definitely manifested to a certain extent some of these mystic powers, especially the mystic power of always having a clear mind and remembering. You listen to the classes that Prabhupada gave, even in the final days, and he's able to remember all these verses, and his clarity is incredible for someone of that age. Yeah, yeah, that's called Satya Sankalpa. Satya Sankalpa means someone desires something and they get what they desire. And that's because Krishna fulfills the desires of his devotee. Like when Prabhupada promised something, like Prabhupada said that we chant 16 rounds, remain faithful to the Krishna consciousness movement, then we'll go back to home, back to Godhead. Then Krishna will fulfill that. Just like we were talking yesterday, how Srimati Radharani controls Krishna by her devotion. So because the pure devotee is under the jurisdiction of the Daivam Prakritim Ashrita, under the jurisdiction of Srimati Radharani, the spiritual potency, then the pure devotee's desires get fulfilled too. This is very interesting. Okay, we'll read more. 14. One who concentrates all mental activities in me in the supersoul of that phase of the Mahatattva which manifests the chain of fruitive activities obtains from me, whose appearance is beyond material perception, the most excellent mystic perfection called prakamya. One who places his consciousness, is 15, on Vishnu the Supersoul, the prime mover and supreme lord of the external energy, consisting of three modes, obtains the mystic perfection of controlling other conditioned souls, their material bodies and bodily designations. We're almost finished with these 8. 16. The yogi who places his mind in my form of Narayan, known as the fourth factor, full of all opulences, becomes endowed with my nature and thus obtains the mystic perfection of Vaishito. And 17. One who fixes his pure mind on me in my manifestation as the impersonal Brahman obtains the greatest happiness wherein all his desires are fulfilled. And those are the 8 perfections. So anyway, anyone have any questions about any of the points I made in class today? Or mystic perfections? Yeah. Because one has these material desires. Akama, Savakama, Mokshakama, Mokshakama, Akama, Savakama, Mokshakama, Udarade, Tivrena Bhakti Yogeni Yajeta Purusham Param, whether one is free of material desires, full of material desires, desires of liberation. We find very often there's Sakama devotees. I mean, the demigods, they're devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they have these desires, and they're also devotees, and they also know the philosophy that if one worships Krishna, or one becomes a pure devotee of Krishna, then one is satisfied. Tushanti cha ramanti cha, isn't it? Machata magneta pranat padyantas cha parasparam katyantas chamam nicham tushanti cha ramanti cha. I mean, they're aware of this, but still they have these desires. And we see here, even devotees in the Krishna consciousness movement, they have some desires to be fulfilled. So one has to voluntarily get rid of the desires or voluntarily decide to become a pure devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Otherwise, one can approach Krishna for some other purpose. So other questions or comments? Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mhm. Because Krishna is revealing to him in his heart. Didami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayanti te. Krishna in the heart, Iswara Sabrabhutanam Desha, Arjuna Tishati. Because of Prabhupada's pure desire, too. Krishna reciprocates with the desire of the living entity, and Prabhupada's desire was compassion, you know. And because Prabhupada had that compassion, Krishna gave him the information by which he could be most compassionate with that particular individual. Yeah, because of Prabhupada's compassion. Well, that's one of the qualities of a pure devotee, expert judgment of time, place, and circumstance. So, other questions? Or we end class early? That's an interesting question. Sometimes people say that the pure devotee is Trikala Gya. Uh, I have not heard Prabhupada say that he was, or the pure devotee is Trikala Gya, knowing past, present, and future. Krishna is Trikala Gya. Krishna says in the Gita, as a supreme personality of God, I know everything past, I know everything present and future. So I wouldn't try to ascribe to Prabhupada the same qualities that are there in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, Krishna can reveal to Prabhupada what's going to happen in the future. And Krishna certainly, let's say Krishna did that when Prabhupada said, you know, we have 108 temples, but time is only separating ourselves from these 108 temples. But to think that a pure devotee can be omniscient, so have the same qualities of the Supreme Personality of God, I know is not our philosophy. Yeah. But he knows everything because Yasmin Vigate Sarvam Evam Vigatam Bhavati. Because one who knows Krishna knows everything. He knows the purpose. Prabhupada gave the example of a automobile. He said the pure devotee may not know how the automobile works, but he knows the purpose of the automobile, going somewhere to serve Krishna. So the pure devotee's knowing everything is not the same as Krishna's knowing everything. Does that make sense? Yeah. Everything that he needs to know how to serve Krishna, everything that Krishna wants to tell him. You know, it's not that, for example, when Prabhupada was preaching in Jhansi before he came to the Western world, it's not that he knew in the beginning it was going to be a failure. You know, he found out when was it Governor Munshi's wife wanted to turn it into Lady Bhavan, and then Prabhupada reluctantly left Jhansi, but then he saw it was Krishna's plan. You know, even in his prayer, when Prabhupada came to America, you know, Prabhupada indicates he didn't know what was going to happen. If you like, you could make me dance, make me dance, make me dance. That's Markandeya Dharma, his famous prayer. So the pure devotee is not Vishnu. He doesn't have all the qualities of Vishnu, but he's given empowerment by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yeah, yeah. Prabhupada, because Prabhupada said that he will come back and save the devotees. Yeah, but how that will happen? What? Well, that's the philosophy. That's the philosophy. Janme Janme Prabhu say. And sometimes the pure devotee comes back to save a particular disciple through someone else or utilizing someone else. Just like in the case of Bilvamangal Thakur, his spiritual master didn't come to him at that particular point. What was the spiritual master's name? Somagiri, I think was his name. He didn't come to him at that point and say, hey, what are you doing with this pretty girl? Or prostitute, whatever. But he spoke through Chintamani. So the spiritual master will come back and save us. But how? That is up to Krishna. So, yes. To show Krishna wants to glorify the devotees. And in order to do that, he shows the devotees determination to continue. Tatena kampam su shamikshmana punjani vatma vipakam ridvagva purvi vridam namaste jiveta yo mukti pade sadayabak. That Krishna actually shows how heroic a devotee is. Just like in the Battle of Kurukshetra, there were so many setbacks for Arjuna. But Arjuna continued fighting. So that's Krishna's glorification of his pure devotee.
Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandar Agom Vikamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasa Sakalen Driya Vriti Manti Vasyan Dipan Dikayanti Jiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adi Purusham
one, the congregational chanting of dawn from the Gitavari collection of poems by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur on page 72, and I hope I can remember the melody. Udilo aruna puravavage dvichamani horamani jage. Bhakata samuha loiya sathe gela nagara vraje. Tata tatai vachaloko Gana gana tahe janjeraro. Preme dala dala sonaranga charane no puravaje. This is so long. Maybe we can all read it, sing it together. Everybody. Mukunda Madhava Yadava Hari Bolena Volo Revadana Vori Miche Nidava Shekelore Rati Divasa Sharira Saje Emana Durlava Manava Deho Paiyaki Korovavana Keho Bhajile Yashoda Sutta Charame Pori Velaje Udita Tapana Hoile Asta Dinegelo Voli Hoi Bevi Asta Tave que no eve alasa hoi navachari doya raje jivana anitya janahasar dahe nana vida vipadabhar namashraya gori jatane tumi Takaha apana kache Jivera kalyana sadhana ka Jagate asi e madhurana Avidyate mirada panarupe Hrid gagane viraje Krishna nama Shuddharu Koriya Panjura Oma Kata Vinoda Pran Nama Vina Kichunai Koharo Choda Bhuvana Mache Udilo Aruna Puragabhage Dvichamani Gaura Amani Jage Bhakata Samoha Loiya Sathe Gela Nagara Vraje Jaya Radha Golokananda Radha Golokananda Radha Golokananda Sirade Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan. Jaya Goranitai, Jaya Goranitai, Goranitai, Jaya Goranitai. Nittai Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nittai Gora Hari Bol. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Sri Radhe. Radhe Radhe Radhe, Jaya 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 Jaya Sri Radhe. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Sri Radhe. Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Sri Radhe. Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol Jai. When the rising sun appeared in the east, the jewel, the twice-born Lord Gauranga awakened. Gathering his devotees around him, he set out to preach in the countryside towns and villages. Ta-tai, sounded the mirdanga drums, and the cymbals chimed in time. Lord Gaurasundar's shimmering golden features danced, and his ankle bells jingled. Mukunda, Madhava, Yadava, Hari, chanted the devotees, their mouths filled with their vibrations. Calling out, they preached to those still sleeping. You spend your nights uselessly sleeping, and your days decorating your bodies. Although you have achieved a rare human birth, you do not care for this precious gift. Instead, you refrain from serving the darling of Yashoda and slowly fall through your last moments to death. With every rising and setting of the sun, a day passes and is lost. Why then do you remain idle and not serve the Lord of the heart? This life is temporary and full of various miseries. Take shelter of the holy name as your only business, to penetrate the darkness of ignorance and bless everyone's heart. The sweet holy name has risen like the shining sun. Drink deeply the pure nectar of Krishna's holy name, which is the life and soul of Bhakti Vinod. The holy names aside, there is nothing to be had in all the 14 worlds. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai, Harinam Sankirtan ki Shri Krishna Nam ki jai.
In Chapel Hill, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. It's football weekend, so come on out and chant Hare Krishna because there's a lot of people there. Chaito Darpanam Arjanam Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam Shreya Kairavya Chandrika Vitaranam Vijavadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam Pratipanam Pranamrita Swadanam Sarvatma Snapanam. Beautiful. Solo today. Nam Namakari Avoda Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrapita Niyamita Smaranena Kala Etadrishita Vakripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdaiva Midrishami Hajjani Nanuraga Trinada Pisu Nichena Tarora Pisu Hishuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari Nadaram Najanam Nasundarim Kavitam Vajagadisha Kamaye Mama Janmani Janmani Ishvare Bhavatad Bhaktir Ahoitaki Twai Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mam Vishame Bhavam Buddha Kripayata Vabada Pankaja Stita Duli Sadrashim Vachintaya Nayanam Galadashu Daraya Varanam Gad Gadarudaya Gira Pulakarnishitam Vapukada Tavanamagrahane Bhavishyati Yugayatam Nimishena Chakshusha Pravashayatam Shunayatam Jagat Sarvam Govindam Virahename Ashlishyava Padamadam Nastumam Adarshana Marma Hatakarotuva Yatatatava Vidadatulam Pato Mat Prananatastusa Eva Napara. Victory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. O my Lord, congregational chanting of your holy name alone can render all benedictions to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names you've invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. O son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. Yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? O Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so, even if he handles me roughly by his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord unconditionally. Shri Shastika Ki Jai. Thank you.